Hey, Outcast fans!
We are your Outcast hosts,
Paji
and Yasmin.
Ding.
There's this person that was like, I don't think it's racist. It's true that Filipinos in Macau and Hong Kong are maids. It's mostly all the maids are Filipino/Indonesian. They're all like that. Okay, still not okay to paint someone's face brown though. So rude. She's not even making Filipino accent. They're saying it's good acting. Oh my God, she sacrificed herself to darken her skin to do this role. They're literally making it that way. It's excuse me, our struggles is not for your entertainment. First thing I saw from that post, about it, I'm like, what is that? I think I saw someone sharing it. Really, a brown face at this decade or something like that. Because people forget there's a lot of local Filipinos in Hong Kong and Macau. I know that Macau is you don't get born into the residency, but Hong Kong you do. If you were born in Hong Kong, you become a resident there. And in Macau, in the past, people Macau used to hire based on skills. So if you were a nurse coming over from a foreign place, they would give you a Macau ID, and that's why there's a bunch of based Filipinos that are actual locals and residents that are doing jobs like engineer and nurse, but people don't even realize that because they're Filipinos are maids.
It's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. And I thought she was Filipino too. So
she's not.
I was
that's the thing. They're why wouldn't they hire a Filipino? Because there are plenty of Filipino acting people that they do acting extras or something like that. I remember in Macau, I would get hired for cleaning, the cleaning role all the time because my brown complexion. There was this one time I was played as a extra for a prostitute, but that's another story. But anyway. But we didn't do anything crazy. We were just standing by there, in the street. That's why. See, I feel it would have actually, made the whole thing not this dramatic because they actually got someone that's a Hong Kong Canadian person to come and she shadowed this Filipino saying that she learned the Filipino language, but then it's just a very bad accent of it, and it's just
it's not even Filipino accent.
It's not. It's the type of accent that they use to mock Filipino accent people.
What are you doing?
I am transforming.
No, I think the most messed up part, at least for me, watching seeing the show, and also but just comments from the locals, comments from people from Hong Kong and Macau. It's oh, it's so accurate, that's exactly how they act, and it's kind of teasing, oh yeah, ha ha ha, that's so
at
accurate.
It, and that's why when people are saying this is a show to show the people how messed up it is, their life. I'm no, you guys made it into a horror comedy show where it's this Filipino girl is coming to I don't know, ruin this family. That's the plot. It's and they even
I didn't watch the whole thing yet, but I did see some parts of that. We should watch.
Oh my God, yeah. No, yeah, we should watch it. I only know this because people that were trying to say it's not racist, they were no, they darken her skin because of the plot, because at the end, they whiten her or something like that. I'm bitch, still, this is not it. This is, the fact that they're just because you have brown skin and you're Filipino, don't you think as someone that is a white skin Filipino is it's dude, what about me? Am I not Filipino just because I don't look like the standard Filipino? That's the thing for them.
I think anything generalizing a race, it's just already racism, saying all Chinese eat dog. It's the same thing.
I hate that. Yeah, and I feel just as mad. And it's just but people I don't get why like people that are locals that live amongst, you know, a lot of Filipinos don't feel just as mad. Well, I know a lot that do, you know, right now the people that are standing up for it are all like people that, you know, it's more of the people that aren't Filipinos that are talking, which is good because that's what we need. It's like, because people that are actually Filipinos that are struggling, they're not going to say anything because they don't want to be in trouble, you know, like.
And I'm sure, like, you know, like it's the attitude of like, I'm here, I have a job, I can provide for my family. So you're not gonna, you know, speak up and say like, oh, this is messed up. And
because we know what they're thinking. They're like, oh, we gotta be thankful. Like, oh, it's like, oh my God. It's both sides though. That sucks for that because it's like people back in Philippines would be like, oh, you should be thankful that you're outside of Philippines working, like,
yeah,
but then people in where you live is like, you should be thankful that you got a job outside of Philippines as well. Like that's all you know in life is just, you gotta be thankful. Like, don't complain. Oh my God. And then I just realized too, like, you know, there's so many like people, immigrants that when they get pause between work or the family don't need them in a certain time because, you know, they have holiday, they would just leave them and they would tent outside the roads, you know, the roads in going towards, if you don't take the MTR in Hong Kong and you walk the walking bridge, it's like full of like,
oh yes,
you know, right?
yes.
And the reason is that they're waiting for when their bosses need them again, or when they have a next job, which is so messed up.
Or like even just during the weekends, you'd see like, like everybody there just sitting down, kind of waiting.
And obviously, you don't see them frowning. You see them happy because, you know, they're thankful. But it's just like, that's no way. You can't spare like some space for the person that takes care of your kid, you know. I mean, but that's the thing. They see them as lower class people, or
lower class
people. Yeah, like completely just shun them. And then they have the audacity to say the show isn't racist. You know, some people.
Yeah.
I mean, it's either, you know what? It's either they're in denial that it's racist because they don't want to like admit to this whole thing that is like, it's wrong to treat someone like that, or they are just racist. Yeah, you want to watch like some stuff?
變黑嘅過程啊！
生㗎，我醜樣啲嘅咩？
Why did you like? Why couldn't you choose a younger one? Later, he's gonna steal your husband. Choose.
No, they said why did you choose a young one, and why couldn't you choose a prettier one, like
No, what?
No,
Why couldn't
an
an uglier one? Yeah. Make her look like a villain already.
Lulu.
Thank you, sir.
Lulu.
Oh, just to translate a bit that part, it's just like, oh, so do you have kids? If she has an 8-year-old kid, then means they gave birth like very, very young, which is a struggle in Philippines. That is just like their sex eds, like education and everything like that is lacking. And it is a problem where, you know, it's just in need of fixing. But right now they're making it a comedy scene. Like, it just goes back to the start where she can just clean off whatever fake tan she has on and be local and be like completely rid of
that's someone else's real life.
Yeah, this is
and
like
they can't choose otherwise.
Exactly, and it's a real life.
Excuse me, have you seen the dog?
The dog.
No, I have been here for a whole day, but I
couldn't even speak Tagalog. That part. You know what I mean? She couldn't like learn some Tagalog in that part just because obviously they're gonna speak to each other in Tagalog if you know what I mean. Like, she is not a good actress at all. It's not like people are like, oh my God, she learned the Filipino accent. They didn't even say accent. They literally said she learned the Filipino language. And yeah, and then it's like, and she even darkened herself for this role. Like, we should praise her. I'm just like, what the hell are you talking about? This scene alone just shows how much more like they're making it easier for the girl because it's like, oh yeah, let's all speak English here. But it's like, so
Yeah.
Oh my god. Do you know what that means? It's like if
I
you
read
don't
the Chinese.
yeah, right? It's like if you don't give it send any more money, I'm gonna sell your
Sell the
kids.
child.
And that part is just like a really good Tagalog for like no reason. It's just like, okay, but this girl can't speak Tagalog. So don't tell me you did brown face for the acting, okay, when you could barely do the language. Sometimes, there's Americans that have very bad Mandarin, or like Chinese in a show, right? Or a movie.
Like Marvel.
But then, like that
the new
one,
Marvel movie.
so cringe. Oh my god, we gotta see it. We gotta
It's
see it.
so disgusting. Like,
Oh my god.
what kind of budget do you need to have that horrible? You can pick up any person from Chinatown and teach you Mandarin, and you need to be able to say something, properly. But this is.
Salela, Wakanida. What?
Wakanida.
Janela. You speak English.
Janela?
We all speak Chinese, Mandarin. We all aspire to three languages.
You're so funny.
我是个是啦。
我是个说了. I'm like, what? And it's like Janela. And I'm like, what? Is this Spanish?
Is she trying to say 我输了? Like I lost or something? But
Like
I was trying to like.
Oh my god.
You speak Chinese? No, Mandarin.
Oh my god.
Oh boy.
Usually
oh
it's
boy.
better. Usually, people do better. Sometimes like you can hear the accent still, but still like, it's not bad. But yeah, you're right. Like what kind of budget that made them not be able to proof hear that?
It's freaking Marvel though.
All right. That is ridiculous. People are like saying like, oh, we couldn't hire a Filipino actress for that role because of visa problems. I'm like, there are plenty of Filipino locals there. I'm so sorry, but there's just no excuses. I'm just like, it's just like, it's already 2022. What are you doing? And I feel like people were like saying, oh, it's a good thing. It shows the struggles and blah, blah, blah. But no, you're common, like you're making it funny, and people you can see like from the reaction from like the comments of people, they're just laughing at it and saying, "Oh yeah, it's true." But as you can, and then obviously the other half, you can see how mad we are because that is not okay. It's just not good.
I'm reading the comments here, and everyone loves. Yeah, her acting.
Yeah, people are like praising. It's local Filipinos and immigrants. It's just like there's the local Filipinos that feel bad for the actual immigrants that have to go through all this shit, and then there's the people like having to worry about. This is like the view of what most locals see them. You know what I mean? Or is like, are my kids gonna always be listening to the same racial jokes, like racial slurs? I'm like, it's only after moving away from Macau that I am happy about my skin, or like happy the fact that
proud.
Yeah, like I wasn't proud of anything before leaving because that's that's my life. Is like people saying, oh, if you had lighter skin you would be prettier, or it's just something like, oh, if your hair was straight it would be way more tidy. And I know that a lot of like this is the thing, there's a lot of people also going with the fact where, oh, what about this race or this race, what about them? Like it's like, okay, I get it, I'm talking about this specific issue. It's just like brown face is wrong. Anything like, dude, it's like if they ask someone to play a Chinese role and then they, I don't know, tape their eyelids like, in a it's just something.
It's like asking a, let's say, a white person to play an Asian role and then like darken their hair and then pull this back, and
Yeah, it's wrong, and we will say it's wrong when it like happens in front of us. It's true, but and then some people are saying also like, oh, Ah Wong was wrong too because they're making fun of a abnormal person, which is I agree, it is wrong. Like we're not supposed to laugh at that type of thing. But hey, guess what? When was that series made? Like freaking years back, like when not a lot of people can say much about these type of things,
like 15 years ago.
15 years ago,
I don't
and
even
now
remember how
we're
many
talking
years
about
ago.
now with brown face. Okay, right now it's not okay. That's all I'm trying to say.
There's this comment that I found that someone was mad that these 2 episodes were taken down, and then like there's like mad angry emoji saying like, oh, why is it taken down? It's not even like racist. How people who think painting yourself dark is people who think that's racist are the racist. And then they're like, there's no like nothing racist about here. I'm just appreciating her acting skills. They're just mad that it's taken down because of like what's been happening, like the conversations that's been happening around this show.
And people are like also saying, oh, that blackface is an American issue. They're all like they're just trying to make it like minimize the actual issue, or like minimize how offended people can feel by like dumbing it down, like, oh, you're what you say, you think you're like the black people in America, that you think you're. No, we're not saying we think anything. We're trying to say that we don't want that type of representation of us Filipinos, because it's not true. We're not dirty. We're not out to get your husbands. We're not all like out from Philippines to provide for our families. Some of us just wants to get out of the country to explore. How about you, like from Macau or Hong Kong, trying to live your life in somewhere else, other than the place that you were born? Like obviously you want a welcoming environment, but that's not what we've been given. We've been given exactly what the show has been showing, but in a sense where people are laughing at it because it's like, oh, she did it so well, like that accent, haha. Like I can't believe she's a Cantonese speaker and she did all that, haha. Like it's just like, bruh, you can't be in denial of the racism going on in that show. Like some people are like, oh, you can feel mad about it, or like be offended by it, but it's not racist. Like it's like, excuse me, something that's towards a specific race where you literally just darken yourself for, and when there's so many Filipinos I know that have fairer skin than, and like a lot of Asians, like Hong Kong people, Macau people, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, my mom is super fair. It's not about, that is like, it just shows more of the racism there. It's like, oh, all brown skin people are like, are immigrants and all maids. Yeah. And it's like, dude.
It doesn't make it easy for us to come out. Like if you live and grew up in Macau, it doesn't make it easy for us to come out and say, hey, I'm Filipino, and feel proud of it because of what everyone, like what all the locals think about it, right? That
Yeah, and that's why these comments is just so hurtful, because they really don't, it's like they choose not to see it. And obviously there's going to be people like that everywhere, right? Like it goes to show. So like same thing I guess similar thing in America, but that's the thing, like we're not trying to say blackface is brown face and that's why it's racist. It's like the brown face issue is a whole nother thing, because it's the immigrants that's been giving their lives, trying to provide for their families and also provide for you guys, in sense where no one wants to look after their children. They want their maids to do it, but then it's like when they get too close, they get sensitive about it, and I don't know, one thing next leaks or another, they get fired because they can get fired for the smallest reasons there.
Yeah, it's like if the owner's petty, then you're in bad luck, you know. Like if they're petty and they just like, oh, you did this, okay, I'll fire you. I don't care if your life or your family depends on it.
Exactly. And in the show, it was like saying, oh, why did you get such a pretty young one? Like, oh, you should have got an uglier one if you could have, like, excuse me, you know, like, and that's what people in the comments are laughing about and relating to. And it's just like, no, it's wrong. You can't treat someone like that and say that and be okay with it. And that's the thing, this woman, the actress, she's not going to get any of that when she gets back in real life because she's a
It's her
Hong
job.
Kong
She's just acting.
Canadian, yeah, and she's just acting, and she can remove that makeup and be okay with whatever is happening in Hong Kong or Macau, you know. And but yeah, it's not okay. Our struggles is not for your entertainment. Yeah, like people are saying like, oh, you don't understand, like the comedy in Hong Kong and in Asia or whatever, it's like different and blah blah blah. It's like, no, it's not different. It's, you guys are just in denial that is bad, that you're not supposed to do that, and they forget.
This comment said, 只有心有歧視先會覺得係歧視，遲啲演員扮演扮傻都話歧視都得啦，太多無聊人好好欣賞咁好嘅劇同演技唔得嘅咩？呢個世界好煩。
It's either they say something is wrong and like stand up for people, or they are in denial and say it's not racist. And people that are Filipinos in Hong Kong and Macau are most likely to not say anything because they already don't want to feel separated from the community, you know what I mean? Like, it's like I get it. What if if I was back in Macau, you know, especially when I'm at school with the locals or at work with locals, I would not make that a thing, you know, like, because it's something that I might I don't know, damage my status with my friends in school, or damage my status in at work because, oh, she's too outspoken or something like that, you know what I mean? And yeah, they're scared of that.
Just in Macau in general, it's not looked up upon to be so outspoken, especially with controversial opinions.
Yeah, and like the woman in the lift, that scene where she was like, oh, you should stand up for yourself.
Sometimes people can be mean, but still, you should speak up for yourself, okay?
And it's like, that's something we can never do because we're always seen as the bad guy, you know, in terms, and at the end of the day, it comes to terms with your passport or your residency, if you were local or not, you know.
I think it's partly, you know, the actress's responsibility to know the role and then know what they're getting into, but also messed up for the company. Like, why would you put, like, ask for someone to do this for the show? So it's like people are blaming the actress, but I think both sides have that responsibility of being aware of,
for sure, because if she was actually like in the mindset where, oh, this is a cool series to reflect on the struggles of Filipinos, and that's why I'm doing this role, I would understand. But if you see that video, seen that video of her like tanning herself, and she's like saying that she's tanning herself, and like using that mocking accent, like, it just shows you're going into this as a comedy and that you're making fun of the role that you're playing, which is a Filipino maid.
What are you doing?
I am transforming to another person, to Louisa.
Just prove that you're not being sympathetic at all. It's just, you're just making fun of us. Dude, I know Filipinos that are nurses in Philippines, that they flew all the way to Macau to be a housekeeping attendant because it's less stress and more money and more benefits. And it's like, if you were giving those options, obviously, like, I feel like some people, like most people, would want to leave their home country.
you know, all of these comments that I'm looking at, like, are like bring it back, bring those 2 episodes back. They're like, oh, TVB, they just heard a couple of people gossip, talking about it, and now they're gonna take it down because
But you see, like
they're like, 可否加返第7、第8集? Can you please add back, like, put it back on the 7th and 8th episode?
so they choose not to see other people thinking it's racist. They choose to see only their side of the view. And that's why it's so useless to talk to these people online. They're trying to convince them otherwise because they're trying to convince you that it's not racist. And it's like, yo. All right. And it's like, oh, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of, and you can like scroll all day, makes you mad as hell, like which was my Friday night. And yeah, like there's really no use talking to these people. It's like it's either they admit that they're wrong and that it's wrong and they accept it, or they're just fighting for people to think it's not racist. Like what?
In a sense, it's like if there are people that are privileged and economically you're on a higher class because you're born in Macau, you have Macau citizen and you have a good life. Obviously, you're not going to understand those who don't have what you don't have, and you're not going to understand it until you've been in their shoes or been into like a completely new country and be treated that way. Then you'll understand what it's like.
I feel like people with that grew up with the maid, especially like that have became close to them, would also understand how messed up this show is. Anyways, well, that's our rant, right? I don't know, like.
Thanks for tuning in on our rant episode.
Yes, it's like I know it's like a little more dark today, but it's just an issue where we've grew up on, especially us like growing up in a local school, speaking Cantonese and everything. We mostly feel a part of the community, and
we've been called bun bun before, which is like a derogatory term, for Filipinos.
There's just so many comments that just shouldn't be out there anymore. It's 2022 and it's not just an American problem, it's a worldwide problem. Like we're trying to make everybody aware of it, and not a lot of people wants to be aware of it. Like being the only ones like Filipinos in the class makes us like not even want to say anything even more because we're already
different. Why shine a light on that, right?
Exactly. And now it's just so hard to ignore because there's so many of us. There's just in our old school now, so many Filipinos. It's like, because there's just so many Filipino locals now and Filipino locals in Hong Kong too. And it's just like, this is not okay, guys, especially when I know we're minorities, but we're like the majority of the minority. You know what I mean? Like it's like the Hispanic almost of America. Like we are part of the community, guys. Like acknowledge.
You can't tell a Latina in America speak our language, like because there's so many Latinas here already, and even Florida, you walk down the street, you hear Latinas, you hear like Spanish, right? Mm-hmm. You can't tell Filipinos, hey, learn Chinese because the majority of people there, Filipinos too. So so it's becoming a melting pot.
Like seriously, be international, guys. But it's like a melting pot. You're right. All right, guys. So thank you for listening to our rants, and if you could please help us sign the petition.
Yes, we're probably gonna put the petition link down. And I think everyone should be treated equally, just because you have a different color skin or just because you are from a lower economical class doesn't make you deserve less respect. And it's 2022 too, it's so outdated to be racist.
Like
it's so outdated and lame to be like, lame. I'm better than this. Or
exactly. If anything,
because you're brown, you're a maid.
Yeah, if anything, the show would have made more sense if they made the maid into a local, and it's like mindfuck. Like it's like what
that would be like. Oh, that would be interesting. That would be like something I would watch. Exactly. Like something outside of the box.
Mm-hmm. Like what if you were treated that way? Like that? No, because they're just so one-minded, like so simple-minded. Like, oh, what? most maids are Filipinos, so that's why she's brown. Like, what?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen like even documentaries showing like, you know, the mom understands the kids a lot less than the maid does. So like they would ask separately, like, oh, who's your daughter's best friend? The mom would say something else and the maid would say the correct one. You know, like, so in that sense, you should give more respect to the maid because they are there for your kids and they're the one educating your kids most of the time. You know,
Stop painting us as demons and the villains of the show.
that steal your husbands.
Oh my god.
First of all, that's not even the maid's fault. If your husband's gonna cheat on you because of the maid, it's your relationship's fault. You know, if you have a good relationship, why would they cheat?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, yeah. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe. That would mean a lot to us. And yeah.
And sign the petition.
And sign the petition because brown face is not okay. And our struggles is not for your entertainment. Thank you.